Alright, welcome back to Velocity. Here we have a Ninja Gaiden, Black any percent, run by rzr360. I hope you're all hyped for this. I sure am. Alright, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm rzr360. I'm going to be running, like you said, Ninja Gaiden Black, any percent normal. Time will start when I hit accept on the first chapter screen, and then I'll go ahead and do an introduction into the run.
Alright.
Alright, so 3, 2, 1, go. Alright,
Best of
so
luck to you.
thank you. Ninja Gaiden Black is a 3D action platformer game developed by Team Ninja for a more modern game that they made. We would look at Neo. They made this game as a re-release pretty much of their first 3D Ninja Gaiden game, which came out in 2004. This one came out the year after, because the director of the game thought that the first one was too easy. And so they ended up making probably one of the most difficult games ever created. The speedrun is going to showcase a lot of fast-paced action and combat and movement. It's very, very tight. The enemies are very brutal, and we're going to try to make them look pretty easy. So I'm just going to kind of go through this chapter. It's going to be pretty much set up similarly to the rest of the chapters in the game, where I'm going to go through and kind of like solve these puzzles and try to unlock these areas, open doors or whatever that I need to, and fight these enemies. So this first room is just a group of these brown ninjas. They're pretty harmless for the most part, but they can be very rude and give you like bad placements. And so first I want to go down here because I need a key item from down here. And I'm also going to be picking up some other items to set up the rest of the run as well. So the first item is these Fang. That's one of the key items that I need. And then the next item right here is going to be a Talisman of Rebirth. This is if Ryu were to die in combat, he comes back with full health and full Nimpo. I'll go for Nimpo a little later as well. And then the next item is the Lives of the Thousand Gods, which is a health bar increase for Ryu. So then I pick up some healing items, put the Fangs in, and I get the key that lets me progress to the end of the chapter. So next I want to talk a little bit about combat. There's a lot of different combos that you can use in this game because it's a hack and slash style combat game. And coming out on only Xbox, this uses the Xbox control layout. So I'll be referencing X, Y, and B for a lot of the combat options, and A as well for movement. So what I'm trying to do is use what's called an ultimate technique to kill these enemies, which is kind of like this like charge slash that Ryu does. And these guys are being very mean to me right now, but that's okay. In fact, I'm gonna need to heal. These guys can be very aggressive, and they throw shurikens, they dodge your attacks, and they are one of the most RNG heavy parts of the run for the very first part. But yeah, so what I want to try to use is called an ultimate technique, which is this charged Y attack where I hold down the Y. And I'm going to use that in this fight as well, though I'm not going to actually fully charge the ultimate technique, because and I'll go into what that looks like later as well. This is the first boss. His name is Mirai. He's very aggressive. He's very fast. He's actually probably harder than most of the bosses in the game, which is funny for being a first chapter boss. And a lot of people rage quit at this guy because he can just block your attacks whenever he wants, and he can come out of a block right into an attack or a grab. He's very scary. He also is a very reset heavy part in the run too, if he gives you a really bad pattern. So that's the first chapter down. So now I kind of want to talk a little bit more about the combat and ultimate technique. So when I fully charge an ultimate technique, there's actually two levels of it. One of them is what I was using against the brown ninjas mostly, and you'll see kind of like the glow that comes across the sword. And then there's another charge, which is a fully charged ultimate technique, or UT as we call them. That one has a like a forward slash and then a multi-hit combo that Ryu does right after it. And we try to utilize those to kind of deal with the enemies as they come up. The first slash is good enough for dealing with a lot of these early enemies, but later we might want to use the full charge GT, even though it has a longer animation, because it does a lot of damage. And there's two ways to charge ultimate techniques. One of them is by just holding the weapon down, or holding the button down and letting the weapon charge naturally. And the other way is to absorb essence. And there's 3 different types of essence. I'll also go into those a little bit later. But now I want to talk about Ninpo, because that's something that I just picked up. I picked up the Scroll of Fire Wheels, and I got this little flaming orb underneath Ryu's health bar now. That's for each Ninpo use is represented by that little flaming orb. And Ninpo is very powerful because what it does is it gives Ryu invincibility frames and casts a spell that does a lot of damage. So we're going to try to use our Ninpo for very specific parts in the run, or for specific fights, in order to kind of make them a little bit more consistent and easier. So now I want to go back and talk about essence real quick. There's 3 different types. Yellow essence, which is money, and I needed to have a certain amount of money at the end of the first chapter. Blue essence, which is health, and red essence, which is Ninpo refills. So I needed 1,000 essence so I could buy this other Ninpo right there, which is Inferno. And how I get that is actually by using ultimate techniques. So we use essence to absorb, which we don't get the properties of if we absorb it for ultimate techniques, in order to use ultimate techniques. And then we have to make sure that we absorb some of those essence so that we can get enough money. Because if I kill an enemy with a first level ultimate technique, then I get 3 times the normal amount of money that enemy would drop. If I kill them with a second level ultimate technique, I get 7 times. So money is a very important part of this game and this run as well. And then picking up these items. So the first part of this fight with these horses is I want to use this Inferno Ninpo to knock these guys off their horses. And then I want to finish them up by absorbing some essence and then using the ultimate technique. So yeah, this is the multi-hit one, and so I'm going to get a lot of money out of these guys for that. And then we're going to come up to the second boss fight of the run, which is also a very annoying boss fight, but not nearly as bad as Mirai. This is Masakado. And basically for the speed run, all we want to do is just kind of shoot him with arrows and pray that Ryu A, targets him, and B, hits him. And then after hitting him, we need to see that he does damage, because sometimes Masakado can just say no to the damage. Yeah, so Ryu's deciding he wants to target the mages, which is fine. I can use the ultimate techniques to shoot them at from the essence that the mages drop as well. And he is being very aggressive. We'll just finish him up here. And Masakado's down.
Great
we also
stuff.
get a technique scroll from defeating Masakado in normal, which is counterattack, which we'll use in chapter 3 a lot.
Do you mind if we have a little bit of donation time?
No, go ahead. It's going to be some cutscenes. I'm just going to skip through here.
Alright, awesome. We have a wonderful donation from a wonderful person, Sanjan. $71.49 to make up for Furion shoddy performance. Hashtag cancel Furion. Amazing stuff, Sanjan. And also, just to remind you all, we are raising money for Rise Above the Disorder. Rise Above the Disorder is a non-profit charity organization benefiting access and affordability towards mental health care, towards the gaming community. It's already helped out over 36,000 people around 133 different countries. And we have indeed passed the $1,000 mark, which is an absolutely incredible achievement. And we really could not do anything or any of this without you people in the chat. So a very humble thank you from all of us on the team.
All right, so this fight is going to go very similarly to the rest. I'm going to try to use ultimate techniques, and I'm going to do something here that I actually did in the very beginning for the first fight. I'm going to do what we call essence pulling, so I killed the last enemy there with an ultimate technique, which spawned a yellow essence. So it guarantees that I get a yellow essence. And then I'm going to use that essence to pull into this fight so that I automatically have one available for me. That I can use to kill the first 3 soldiers in this room right away. It's very tight, and because each essence only lasts for about 10 seconds of in-game time, so I have to move very quickly because the timing from the very first room to getting to that crew compartment room is pretty close. And then I'm going to do the same thing. So you saw I killed that one soldier with the essence technique as well, and just immediately left the room with the essence still there, because I'm going to use it at the very start of this fight as well. So we'll use essence pulling pretty much just in these parts of the run, but the timing on these is very tight. So I want to try to get up to one of these guys so that I kill them immediately. Kill them both. And then this guy, and he's going to give me some interesting patterns. That's okay. So kill them, and then we got one more soldier who's going to come down, and this is where I'm going to use a counterattack. So he's going to come in, he's going to try to hit me, I'm going to counterattack, knock him down, and I'm going to use the ultimate technique to double hit him while he's on the ground. Because normally one ultimate technique is not enough to kill him. And so that's those rooms down. So I'll go ahead and talk about the other essence types as well. Blue and red essence. So blue essence is health, like I said, and red essence is Nimbo. Now, if I try to absorb a blue or red essence, it'll give me a full charge ultimate technique instead of the single charge. So that's why I want to guarantee I get the yellow essence when I kill some of these enemies in those rooms, because I don't actually want a full charge. Here I'm going to break this box and get a yellow essence because that's a guaranteed spawn from that. And I'm going to do essence chaining here, which is where I kill one enemy with an ultimate technique, use its essence to kill the next enemy, and rinse repeat until they're all dead. So it makes this room very consistent. This part is really scary. If I fall off the side anywhere here, then I just die. There's no talisman of rebirth. There's no way to save it. Ryu just dies, which is why I made a save before coming out here. If you do not save at any point in the game, you restart from chapter 1, because the game, if you die, the game takes you back to your last save. So if you don't have any saves, then yeah, you start from the beginning.
Sounds fun.
So I want to be, yeah. So if you're high level speedruns, then you're not making any save points, and well, a death is pretty much death of the run. So here, and I want to make sure I don't fall off, and there we go. So yeah, I'm pretty safe from this point on, from dying. So the next thing I want to talk about is the next weapon I'm going to be using, which are called smoke bombs. There's actually a lot to go into them. They do a lot for the speedrun, and I'm going to be equipping them shortly. Smoke bombs, they distract the enemies, but they also move Ryu. And Ryu has recovery animations for certain things. If he's blocking and he gets hit with an attack, then he has a recovery animation for what is called a guard break, which is where Ryu's can't block for a little bit, and you can roll out of the guard break, but then you have a recovery animation after the roll, and the only thing you can really do to cancel that recovery animation is to jump or use a projectile. And smoke bombs are also considered a projectile, and they also do a rolling animation as well, which gives Ryu iframes. So this next boss, I'm going to be using blocks for its main attacks, which are going to guard break Ryu. Then I'm going to roll out of the recovery animation, and then I'm going to use smoke bombs to dodge the next attack that's going to come up. So we'll see that with Dynamo right here. So first I'm going to start off with a smoke bomb, and that's to distract him as well. Usually he won't shoot me if I do that, but he decided he wanted to shoot me anyway. So you see that I blocked the first attack, rolled out of it, and then I smoke bomb away. And that's to make sure that I don't get hit by the grab. And here I'm going to use another elixir. And I wanted an Nimpo, but that's okay. But yeah, I used another elixir so I can use another Nimpo for Fire Wheels, because Fire Wheels is really good. It does a lot of damage to this boss. And there we go. That's Dynamo down. So we're already three bosses down. Oh, sorry, did you have something to...
Oh no, just complimenting your skill at crushing the bosses.
Thank you.
It's 4:30 in the morning. I'm not sure what I'm doing anymore.
It's all good. This is chapter 4. So there's no boss fights in this chapter, but there are some normal fights that I will go through. They're pretty straightforward. And basically what I'm going to be doing is spawn camping the enemies. So if you're a Call of Duty fan, you'll probably want to avert your eyes, because, you know, Call of Duty fans hate spawn camping. So this is a very just movement-based chapter, so I'm going to talk about movement. The main form of movement we do is roll jumping, which is, you see me doing it like all over the place. What we want to try to do is do that in as straight of a line as possible and tightly around corners. There's also another form of movement that we'll do called on-landing jumps, and there's also on-landing attacks, which are very important for combat and for movement as well. So we kind of gauge which one we're going to do based off distancing, because a roll jump, if Ryu's in a roll, he can't commit to an action like opening a door. So we want to gauge where we land up to a door, like right at the end of his movement animations. So knowing the distancing and everything is actually very important for optimizing your movement. And it becomes very, very difficult. It's another very difficult part of the run. I don't know if I've mentioned it. This game is pretty hard. I know it looks pretty straightforward how I'm doing it, but it takes a lot of practice, because the camera doesn't work the way you want it to all the time, and you gotta get used to that. And Ryu sometimes is very ornery and moves in his own ways, which you'll see kind of in some later chapters when things start getting a little weird in the layouts. These very like squared layouts are a lot easier to move around in. But so those were the two fights that we have in this chapter. We don't have any more fights. And you also saw me pick up another item, which I actually kind of have to go out of the way to get, but it's a very important item. It's called the Spirit of the Devils. It gives me an additional Nimpo slot. So when I mention Nimpo, it's very powerful. So we want as much Nimpo as we can possibly get, but the other Spirit of the Devils in the game are a lot harder to get and aren't worth the time investment. So this one is very important to get. So now we come to Pleasure Street, and we're going to go to Han's Bar. So there's a lot of story stuff that's been going on that I haven't really been mentioning. The story in this game is actually not terrible. It's very 90s action movie. But it is basically what happened is Ryu was being trained by Mirai in the first chapter, and then his village gets attacked by Doku, a black-clad samurai, who ends up being a greater fiend working for the emperor of the city that we're currently in. And we are trying to look for Doku, because Doku also stole the Dark Dragon Blade, which is the evil sword of the realm. And Ryu's clan is quested with protecting the sword. So Ryu's trying to get back the sword and get revenge for his clan that was attacked. And so once we get to Han's Bar, we have to leave, go buy an upgrade so we can get a ticket so we can enter Han's Bar, which ends up being attacked by fiends anyway. And here we meet a character named Rachel, and she's a spicy figure. She's very nicely clad. in her leather suit, and we don't really see much of her because we skip all the cutscenes. But basically, she tells us, yeah, she's very uwu. Basically, she tells us she's a fiend hunter and also looking for Doku. So we're kind of kindred spirits in that regard. Next is chapter 5. This is also a pretty movement-heavy chapter where I'm going to be trying to utilize nice smoke bombs in an interesting way. Hopefully, I get it. It can be a little bit RNG and but very execution heavy as well. So I'm just gonna try to move through the city as quickly as possible. And so one interesting thing as well to note is the one of the attack buttons, the X button, is also bound to the interact button. So if I want to open a door, I have to press X to do so. Well, sometimes if there's enemies nearby or anywhere around, or there's something to attack, Ryu will decide he wants to attack instead. And so you kind of have to just deal with that. And there's ways to control it, but sometimes Ryu just does whatever he wants. And yeah, he's kind of got a mind of its own, or his own. So we're gonna come back down here. We were just here a little bit ago and we saw these spider ninjas. And we needed to get a key so that we could open this gate that's up here. And nice. So this gate won't open if there's enemies nearby. So what I'm trying to do is get here without the spider ninjas. And so they ended up catching up to me anyway, but that's all right. We can despawn them by doing that. But we need to pull this lever so we can bring the bridge down. So we have to kind of like do this whole little loopy circle around. And one thing I'll mention about this game too is there's not a lot of glitches or skips to it that go like out of bounds or anything. In fact, we had one out of bounds skip for about 2 days until we found out that it soft locks the game. So we were all excited and then very disappointed that out. But yeah, so there's not a lot that breaks the game, to be honest. It's a very well-made game, well-designed, and pretty much the only one in the series that doesn't have a very like game-breaking glitch in it. We do have one glitch we use in the run, but it's very tight, and I actually went for it a little bit earlier and failed it, but that's okay. We'll have another chance to showcase it, and hopefully I can get it later and see what I'm talking about. So here we have another little spawn camp that we're going to do, and I'm just going to do a quick menu while I'm here as well. Oh, I got a blue. All right, well, I didn't want the blue, but that's okay. I'm going to take this money because of that. So, but that fight's pretty straightforward. We just push the guys into the wall and then cut the next set of guys' heads off. So one thing I did do last chapter I want to mention is I upgraded the Dragon Sword. Upgrading the weapons gives you more damage from their attacks and gives you access to additional moves. So I got this move called Flying Swallow. It's one of the best moves in the game, and I got another move that I'm going to be using a lot as well, but not with the level 2 sword, the next level. And then we fight our first set of fiends. These guys, we're just going to use some Nimpo and then cut them up a little bit. And then this guy, I'm actually going to miss my UT. That's fine. He's just out of range. I'm going to wait for him to attack me because if I'm in the air, he can actually grab me out of the air. Yeah, he's being... There we go. So that's the first set of fiends down, but now we have a boss fight. So we meet up with Rachel again, and then this big guy named Hydrocubus, big tentacle monster, would be perfect for a certain kind of comic book series. And he swallows up Rachel, so we're trying to save her by cutting the monster up. Hopefully not cutting up Rachel while she's inside. So this attack, or this technique that I got right here is XYXXX, and it does a lot of damage. It's one of the things that I got for the level 2 Dragon Sword. Oh. And ultimate technique there. So What's interesting about Hydrocubus is if he has tentacles out, then he is completely invulnerable except for the tentacles. So we want to cut those as quickly as possible. I'm going to finish him off with an ultimate technique just because it does a lot of damage and pretty quick. And that's Hydrocubus down. There's another character. That's Gamov. That's pretty much all we see of him. We'll see him one more time. Yeah, he's an interesting character. He does absolutely nothing. Next up is Chapter 6. This is one of the longest chapters in the game, and it has some of the hardest fights. We're going to try to get through it as quickly as possible, of course, with some tight movement, and try to kill the next set of enemies. They are more fiends. These are shadow fiends that you see here. I'm going to be fighting some of them, and then some monk fiends. Monk fiends are little flying enemies. Flying enemies in this game are the absolute worst. Monks are pretty bad, but they're not even close to being the worst ones. We have a kind of an easy way to deal with them for the first room, but the second room is a little bit different. I'm going to go ahead and pick this up as well because just for safety. And we'll go through doors. But the idea, the reason we come to this monastery in the first place is because we hear rumors as we're traveling around the city about how to get to the castle of the Figure Emperor. And that's where we believe Doku is. So we're trying to get to him, right? And essentially, we hear a rumor that there's an underground passage to the castle beneath this monastery. And so we're trying to look for a way to get into that passage. There's some clues that you can pick up along the way from the game that tells you like how to get there and what you need, but because we already know all of those things, we're not going to look at any of those clues. In fact, like there's a lot of books in this little archive room that kind of tells you about that and gives you some other backstory into the game as well. One of the items that I did pick up in this room is the incendiary shurikens, which you just saw me use to break that wall. They are a progression item along with a very powerful weapon. And I'm going to be using them in this fight well. And the other thing that I picked up was a stone tablet piece. There are 3 of those. They are a key item for very late in the game. So that's the first accessible one. That's along the route. And so we got to make sure we pick those up as soon as we can. Because if we forget to pick it up, then we're going to be stuck later in the game and without the ability to progress and have to go back until we can get it. So you don't want to forget those. So this guy is being very dodgy. So this is what I mean. This is very like RNG part of the run. These guys are very dodgy and they don't like to behave. So he's like teleporting like all over the place. Whenever he teleports, he completely negates the incendiary damage as well. So it's just kind of a little bit of bad RNG that can just kind of happen. But the third guy at least was much nicer and decided that he didn't want to teleport as much. And these shadow fiends, they can also just kind of like dodge your attacks. The last one, there he is. And took him down. We also need to pick up this statue. This is another late game item. Without if we forget the statue, then yeah, you lose a lot of time and you have to come back as well to pick that up. So these items that I'm picking up, there's more Great Devil Elixirs. That's more Nimpo uses. So what I got was in that room was the book for the monks so rudely came and attacked me, and that opens this little passage that goes underground. So it looks like we're where we want to be. I'm actually gonna save here. because this part is kind of interesting. If you're a fan of Indiana Jones at all, then you'll probably like this part a lot. We got the classic boulder coming down the tunnel and spike traps. So here I'm going to be using another form of on-landing jumps, which I talked about a little bit earlier. So on-landing jumps are also really good because what they do is they give Ryu iframes. Well, when Ryu jumps, he has iframes, and when he lands, he has iframes as well. So I took a lot of damage there, so I'm going to just flip a bit from... I don't want to mess up and get hit by the spikes again. But basically, so as Ryu lands, if I press down or forward on the joystick and A at the same time that he lands, then I'll extend the iframes and he'll jump again. So we'll use that a few times as well to dodge other hazards and to dodge some enemies later in the game as well. So now we're just kind of moving through the area. We have a couple of fights coming up, but we just want to get down as quickly as possible. If there's like any donations or anything, that would be a good time as well.
Alright, we are hitting a bit of a quiet period at the moment, but I would like to remind everyone that the velocity is supporting the rise above the disorder. I can't speak English because my brain just had a poop. So sorry about that. So Rise Above Disorder is a non-profit organization dedicated to battling the two greatest barriers to mental health care: access and affordability. It is just to repeat, it is a non-profit organization, and all the proceeds that Velocity makes will go straight towards the charity itself. And don't forget as well, we also have a bunch of incentives that you can donate for. So when you go to donate, we have polls. So such as, you can choose the voice acting, Japanese or English, for the Kingdom Hearts run coming up. You can choose the weapon for another Kingdom Hearts. All Kingdom Hearts games just merge into one for me. It's like a genuine problem. Like, there's like 10,000 Kingdom Hearts games in categories. I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings. Kingdom Hearts runners in the chat. And yeah, we have a lot of lovely polls and things to select from, and we also have some great naming incentives. So the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time file name, which currently doesn't have any suggestions at the moment, so if you want to, implement some personality for the Oot run, you can go ahead and donate for that. All you have to do is, specify in the comments of your donation what you would like the name to be, and we'll put it in for you. The same with the Fire Emblem Awakening avatar name, and the Pokemon Sword Sobble and Cubsy.
Alright, yeah, some nice incentives. So this fight is more or less straightforward. I got a weapon a little bit ago called the Vagorian Flails. These are a really cool weapon. They're actually my favorite weapon in the game, and we really only use them in this chapter because they clear up these zombies very nicely. The ultimate technique, the fully charged ultimate technique for them, the last 3 hits is enough to kill any one of these zombies. Oh, I didn't want to absorb that. It's okay. So we'll use them to kind of clear them up. And then it also does a lot of damage to the boss in this area, as it so happens. It's funny that they give us the perfect weapon we need to take care of everything here. And then what I'm going to do for this fight, so the first elevator is not really a required fight at all, per se. It's just kind of like a money grab, because the elevator doesn't stop. This guy, oh, one of the required ones. But this fight, I do have to do in order to activate the button again. And then the next part of it is really just another money grab. What I want to do is just do an ultimate technique, kill one of these zombies, and grab the money from them, and then leave. Also, I got some red drops, which are very lucky. They're the rarest drop that you can get from an enemy because Nimpo is so powerful. So every red drop we get is very, very good. And then I killed those bats down there because they can attack me while I'm climbing up a ladder, and they can just shred your health. They can kill you, take your talisman, and there's actually a chance if they kill you right as you get up the ladder, you'll soft lock the game, or you just will freeze in place. And this part is very scary. The zombies can shoot you off at any point and knock you back to the bottom, and you have to start the climb again. So that was a very good ascension right there. We can kind of manipulate the zombies AI by holding block. The zombies will try to not shoot you if you're blocking because they're cheaters. They read your inputs. So we kind of like stagger, block, and release to get them to shoot when we're at a spot where they can't hit us, like when we're about to jump. And now we have the boss, which is Bone Dragon. If you've ever played Dark Souls 3, you'll think of like Wolnir and his like bracelets. That's what we want to do with this guy's arms. We would just want to break his arms. And he's gonna give me some interesting grabs. And we want him to shoot these bones at us because when he shoots his bones, the arm stays in place. Any other attack is bad because that's moving the arm or the leg. So like this is the worst one because it takes a lot of time, but we can use Inferno to dodge the sword or the tail swipes. And then we do XXY with the flails to kind of damage the arms up. That takes a lot of damage from the flails. So yeah, he's gonna die right here. Pretty decent pattern actually. Yeah, 1055 with a silly monk room is actually pretty good on the in-game timer.
For
that chapter.
Dinosaur boss in a ninja game. Not complaining.
Yeah, the boss is like this game plays out like very much like a 90s action movie. There's a lot of interesting little tropes that come along with it, and it's good fun. It's really to be honest, this is probably the best game ever made. Objectively, like there's What's up?
Not biased at all.
Oh, no bias at all. It's objectively the best game ever. There's really not any way to argue that. It does really have everything. It's a very well made game. Fast-paced combat, awesome movement, platforming. In fact, this is probably going to be one of the cooler platforming parts, where you'll kind of see a quote-unquote skip. Like I said, we don't really have any like glitches for skips or anything like that. We have a lot of movement tech though, and the rooms coming up, we're going to use a really cool technique called flying bird flip, and we're going to reuse enemy targeting skills to kind of do something we're not actually meant to do. So this room doesn't have a platform, but we need to get up to that top part. It wants you to shoot a little like a little Legend of Zelda eye thing to spawn the platform, but by jumping off the wall and then using shuriken, we can actually get Ryu to target the enemies as he's coming up and turn midair towards them, which lets us get up here, and it's called the flying bird flip technique, which is when he jumps off the wall. And the next room is the red room. We're going to do that one a little bit more intended, unless something bad happens, which is completely RNG because the zombies, whether or not they have really good aim is totally RNG dependent, and sometimes they'll have higher difficulty aim, even on normal. They'll just aim like they're on Master Ninja and hit you from across the room. Oh, okay. That was my fault, but that's all right. So now I'm going to try to flying bird flip here, and so you can see they shot me off the top. The flying bird flip in this room is actually a lot harder than it is in the other room. For some reason, no idea why. The timing is just a lot tighter. They're not different heights or anything like that. It's just for some reason Ryu just doesn't want to get as high up. But still worked out. Getting knocked off is kind of sad. It's a lot faster to just go up from the top, but sometimes that happens. It's good to have a backup. So here we're going to pick up some more items, and then we have a mini boss fight. You guys might recognize this boss actually. Oh, and he's Hydrocubus again, everyone's favorite. We all love Hydrocubus, and he's definitely not going to appear again at any point.
Woo, there he is.
Yep, that's him right there. And all right, so there's a chance that you can actually get a 1 cycle there. I think I was actually a little over on my damage instead of being under. So if you do a certain amount of damage, then and I got the infinite tentacle though, which is really great. So sometimes the tentacle just takes way longer than it should ever really take to cut. We don't understand why that worked or how. It just does. And one technique that I will actually mention real quick that I've been using is with the level 3 dragon sword is called Gleaming Blade, which is this like little spin and slash up that Ryu's been doing. It is a extremely deadly attack. It does a ton of damage to everything, and it'll be pretty much the default way we do damage for the rest of the game if we can. It will be our primary source. Because it shreds everything. In the original version of the game, which is just Ninja Gaiden, or what we call NGO4 because it came out in 2004, the primary attack was actually an attack we call Flying Swallow, which is where we do the little jump slash. That one was insanely broken in the very first version of the game, but they nerfed it in this one, and then Gleaming Blade kind of took its place and became the de facto damage dealer. So here, the wall that the Bone Dragon hit in its cutscene actually breaks open and floods this area with water. That will become important later. But for now, we just need to get into this elevator, and we're going to go fight probably one of the best bosses in the entire game and another rage quit spot. So Rachel, when we met her, she told us that she was looking for her sister. Her sister's name is Alma, and Alma gets turned into a fiend by Doku because both Rachel and Alma have fiend blood in them, which is what lets Rachel be a fiend hunter. And Alma decides she wants to meet with Ryu here because she wants to be our girlfriend, but Ryu's not really interested, so he's going to tell her no and try to send her away if he can. So we'll see how that goes.
Be gone.
Exactly. So Alma's very mean. She can just dodge your attacks like that. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to knock her into the air, or knock her onto the ground, do a specific combo, which knocks her up into the air, and then have her land on my Inferno Blast as I shoot it. And that's try to get her to get hit by the second part of the blast, which she can just dodge anyway, and then go for an attack immediately after. And yeah, so she's being very ornery. Oh. Okay, come on. She's way too high up for me to hit her even right now. Yeah, so she can just do this, and she can dodge infinitely. Like, she can just keep dodging you. So she can be a lot of time. So that's chapter 7 down. Luckily, we got through Alma with our talisman intact, which is always a concern. If she did hit me, she does a lot of damage. So luckily, she didn't really hit me too much. I don't think she hit me at all, in fact. So pretty. And then yeah, Ryu's talking to Rachel after the end of the fight. Alma actually gets away. Doku comes in and saves her. And then Ryu leaves, and he just leaves Rachel there, and she goes off and, why are you running up to me? Okay, well that worked out anyway, but I'm not sure why that soldier ran up to me. He's not supposed to do that. Just one of those things that happens.
Marathon stuff.
Exactly. So we kill those soldiers. We do similar to what we did. We kill the first set with our Nimpo, and then we charge a Gleaming Blade off their Essence. So Gleaming Blade also has an ultimate technique form. So you can use Essence to charge it up, and it does the same properties as a normal ultimate technique. And it clears up the second wave pretty easily. They're all supposed to come in at the same time. Like I said, I'm not sure why the first soldier ran up to me like that, but that's okay. We equipped a bow as well during the Alma fight because we're going to use it in the next fight coming up. There's no boss fight in this chapter. There's just enemy fights, and then there's kind of like a little mini boss as well, which is another one of Ryu's girlfriends, and it's the helicopter. You see it flying around like in the this level a little bit, and the helicopter is in love with Ryu and wants to show Ryu how much she loves him. And Ryu again is just going to reject her, and he's going to shoot a bunch of arrows at her and be like, "Yeah, please go away." And hopefully,
sounds like an interesting waifu.
yeah, Ryu has the most interesting waifus, to be honest. He's not interested in Rachel at all, and I'll show you that at the end of the game as well. So all these other girls, you know, they want to come up to Ryu because he's emotionally unavailable, and it's just kind of how it is.
A bit like Persona 5.
Exactly. So what I'm trying to do is hit the helicopter 4 times, which I was able to do, and then it just kind of pieces off. Which is funny because I'm hitting it with the arrows, and so I guess the arrows, you know, send it the hint that, you know, Ryu's not interested. But hopefully that's the last we see of the helicopter. So then we're just going to look at this nice window, very fancy window. It's open, unlike all the other ones. There's a soldier. And we got 2 arrows on him, which is good. Oh, I'm going to equip smoke bombs because we're going to see a bunch of soldiers through this door. Smoke bombs are going to distract the enemies, like I said earlier. I want to always make sure that I have at least 1 smoke bomb here. Because, and I didn't even use it. Cool. That's not good. Okay, so that's why we want to use the smoke bomb. They can just ruin your day at the door. But it's alright, we got through anyway. So here we're just going to come up to this spot because after we killed that soldier, we saw a little cutscene where it shows us this bow. So the little bow is the one Ayane gave us, who's the ninja girl that we saw like for a few seconds. We really only see like every character for like a couple seconds. She gave us the first bow. We're like, you know, that bow's not good enough. We're gonna get the good bow, and we get what's called the strong bow. The strong bow doesn't have any arrow drop or like the original bow does, so it is much better. And every single way also does a lot more damage. So yeah, we basically get rid of Ayane's cheap bow and get a good one. And that's going to be the end of this chapter as well. Like, this chapter is mostly movement and those fights. Everything else is pretty much scripted. Now, this next chapter, though, has some really cool pieces to it. 2 really cool fights, plus one of my favorite skips in the game because of A, what it skips, and B, how it looks. It looks really cool. So it's going to come up in just a little bit, but first we got to deal with a couple more soldiers. So with the military base, the lore behind that, what's going on is, so Tehran is very aggressive towards ninjas. It's why when we're riding on the airship, the military come in to attack us because they hear there's a ninja on the ship. And they hear there's a ninja running around their city, so they're like, you know what? We don't like ninjas. We want to deal with this problem, so we're going to mobilize the entire military to deal with this threat. Which is funny because they also happen to leave a bunch of arrows around. Like I just picked up explosive arrows, and none of the soldiers use a bow or arrows. In fact, so it's kind of weird that they set up their city perfect for a ninja to move around in it. Which is probably why they hate them in the first place, because they're like, yeah, they're a real problem because they can do so well here. So we pick up the explosive arrows. We're going to pick up another set of arrows that they leave around as well. I'm going to pick up some additional healing items, and we're going to go open this door. So basically what happens here is I get onto that platform with some pretty precise inputs, where I jump towards it, press X for air destruction / shuriken, and then Y to land on the platform. Normally, you have to actually go up onto the other side, turn on the power in that room, so that those platforms can start to move, so you can jump to them. But using a bit of those attack techs and with the jumps, I can actually get Ryu to move into spots where he normally shouldn't be able to get to, which lets me kind of sequence break that entire area, which is also really good because if you go turn on the power, you spawn a bunch of drones, and the drones fly around and they shoot lasers at you, and it's very annoying. Now, this fight is pretty straightforward. These soldiers will only ever run at you as long as you stand still. So we just stand here, and we shoot them. And yeah, they just run at you. They don't shoot you. They don't try to hit you or nothing. So they're pretty easy to deal with. So here we have another fight, and it's going to be against a tank. We're going to use our bow against a tank. I know, we're using a bow a lot. And here I pick up another set of arrows, which are these APFSDS cores. I think that I had the acronym right. I never get the acronym right. It's really long. I never really try. I usually just call them the APS arrows or something random with a bunch of letters, as long as it starts with A. And we just want to shoot the tank a lot. So this next tank, though, we're going to actually use Inferno at the start because we're going to dodge the blasts and kill this soldier on the top. Now, something interesting is this box is indestructible. You can see the tank is shooting at me, but it's hitting the box. As long as it hits the box, it will not damage me. And so the box is very good box. We like the box. Now, sometimes the box can be a scam, but luckily for us today, it wasn't. And then we come up to this elevator, and there's going to be two soldiers here. With our newfound arrows, we're just going to try to make work of them. They're going to shoot rockets at us, but we're going to hide behind these stairs. And there we go. Take it there. I'm just going to refill on arrows. Not for any particular reason. Oh, wait. Our helicopter girlfriend is back. I guess she didn't get the hint earlier. So we're just going to shoot her a bunch with these stronger arrows, and maybe she gets it this time. Alright, let's see. So we're going to use the box strats again when it starts shooting rockets at us. Because, like we said, we like the boxes. The boxes are nice. They protect us. And yeah, we use the bow to destroy the helicopter. Which is always one of the funniest parts to me. I'm going to equip the explosive arrows again because I'm going to use them for this next part and for the next chapter. So we needed to come up here to destroy this communication tower. This is to disrupt the Tehran military's ability to communicate and mobilize against us. So we're pretty much just trying to cut out their ways to dealing with the ninjas. These soldiers, their attacks are RNG. They can shoot at me, which is fine. I want them to shoot at me all they want, because I don't need health anymore. Or they can throw a grenade, which is what they did. Throwing a grenade makes Ryu come out of shooting the bow and moves him. So then we have to get out of melee range from the soldiers and continue to shoot. This part is really scary. So those soldiers can delay their rockets and shoot you. But I just want to get through the door as quickly as possible. So just wall run, jump after them, open the door, and move on. Get out of there as quickly as possible. Because if they start hitting you with rockets, then they do a lot of damage. Ryu kind of just ragdolls when he gets hit, and he just flies around all over the place because he's as being a ninja, you know, he's light on his feet. So if he just gets knocked off balance and doesn't know what to do anymore. Here, though, we have to come back because we actually need a key. The soldiers don't have the key the first time that we visit them, so we have to come back and get it once we figure out that the door that we're trying to get through is locked. Which is funny to me because, like, the soldiers the first time don't have the key, so the next set of soldiers have the key. I don't understand, like, why they would bring the key at all if they're trying to keep Ryu from getting anywhere. Kind of a silly thing. What was that? Anyway, sorry, I just heard something. I don't think it came through though, so it's fine. What we're trying to do here is go to the train control station, and we're going to turn on this train. And you don't get to see it. It's a really cool cutscene. Ryu jumps on top of the train, and it smashes through a wall. We get to see the after effects of it, though, which are going to be right here at the beginning of this chapter. We're going to pick up some more arrows, and you can see the train behind us all damaged and broken up through the wall. And we actually come to a place that we've been to before. So one of the really, really cool things about this game is how it's layered. Everything is kind of like built along itself. But this part is pretty much just a loading screen. So again, if there's anything you guys want to talk about, like, this would be a good time. We just got to wait.
No problem. So we're still going through a tiny bit of a quiet period at the moment, so don't forget everyone, we are supporting Rise Above the Disorder. Donation links are in the chat and also in, well, if you're using Twitch mobile, it's in the About section. If you're on browser, it's just underneath, just underneath the stream for your convenience. Supporting mental health in the gaming community. We are also hosting many incentives, so just ! Naming incentives or ! Incentives in the chat, and you'll be able to scroll through a vast majority at your leisure. Other than that, we've not really got too much. Luckily, we've already hit the 1k goal for today, and we've also hit a lot of targets, so it's been a really, really great day so far, and just want to take the time to thank you everyone who's been here. And everyone who was here yesterday, and thank you to all the runners and tech people behind the scenes. All your work is greatly appreciated for such a wonderful cause.
Yeah, hitting the goals was awesome. That's really, really cool.
Heck yeah.
So what's funny about that loading screen at the start is it's only in the normal difficulty for this run or this game. Every other difficulty doesn't have that like weird loading screen. We have no idea why it does that, by the way. So this chapter is interesting. It's another really like heavy movement execution chapter, and I'm going to be doubling back a lot through here. The music through here is absolutely phenomenal as well. Like, there's nothing bad with this game. Like, everything is like just about this game is perfect. It's got great music, great movement, great combat. The level design is phenomenal. This is probably one of the worst parts. This boss right here. If you didn't rage quit at Mirai and you made it through Alma and then you came to this boss, you might have rage quit here. This boss is absolutely horrendous casually. Yeah, it's a giant worm. He's very annoying. There's a lot of stupid attacks. We kind of just Gleaming Blade him down, which deals with him pretty effectively. So in the speedrun, he's not as bad, but casually, if you don't understand a lot of the game mechanics and you're playing on normal, or even playing on normal, like, he's very annoying. I played this game when I was like, I think it was 7. No, not quite 7. I think it was like 12. Like 15 years ago, right? No, 16 years ago. Yeah, when I was really young, anyways. And yeah, I took forever to beat that one boss, and I thought it was the final boss of this this level, and it's not. We have another mini boss, and then the final boss. But basically, what we're trying to get is these tablets. We got the red tablet, and we're going to the red reservoir, so that we can drain the water from these rooms. The very first room that we went into was the Hall of Balance, which has this big statue. We want to drain the water to move the statue so that it opens the door behind it. So that's the goal. So what's really cool is the level design for this chapter is absolutely incredible. So you get the red tablet, you lower the water reservoir. It also gives you access to a door, which has a little statue in it. And the statue, you need to open another door, which lets you get to the area where the next tablet is. So all of these movements here, like, they're very intentional, going back and forth. You really gotta, like, you get to see a lot of the level. You get to see every aspect to it. I mean, it's incredible design, in all honesty. I know a lot of like modern gaming people compare like difficult games to Dark Souls, and this game was like predates any Souls game, but has like similar designs to it, and it's just like, in my opinion, better in every way.
Is that a
Well,
Dark
not.
Souls reference?
What's funny is I also run Dark Souls. I run Dark Souls 3. I actually did that before I started running this game.
Oh, wow.
But this game is just so much better. So if you didn't think one worm was bad, you got 2 worms. So this fight is going to go, hopefully, very similarly to the first one. But they like to spit. Every time they spit, it's a time loss because I can't really hit them with the sword when they're spitting. Like, I can shoot him with the bow, but it doesn't do a ton of damage. Like, you can see doing like these essence techniques and doing my my gleaming blades. Those do a lot of damage to these guys. And I'm actually gonna heal here because the worms also do a ton of damage. I want to try to hit this guy real quick. And there we go. So that went okay-ish. They didn't spit at me too much. Yeah, every time they spit at me is awesome. And one real quick thing, these guys are worth a lot of money. They're worth 500 essence base. So anytime we kill them with an ultimate technique, we want to make sure we pick up their money, because base is 500. So if I kill them with an essence tech or level 1 ultimate technique, or essence technique as we call it, I get 3 times the amount of money. And if I kill them with an ultimate full charge, I get 7 times. So that goes to 1,500 and then 3,500.
So worms are rich.
Worms are rich. They have a lot of money for some reason. Big worms, big wallets. Who knew? What else could you want?
Big hearts too.
Yeah, maybe the helicopter should date the worms instead.
Oh yeah. Oh, I should.
Ryu. Yeah, Ryu just comes in, beats them up, and takes their money. So he's not actually rich. He's just a bully.
School bully. Yeah. Takes your lunch money and goes.
Exactly. So here, there's some interesting little interactions with these walls. So Ryu likes to target pillars, and some of these walls have pillars in them for Ryu to target, and he just likes to run up them. Try to actually kind of walk around a lot of the corners in there, so that Ryu doesn't cling onto the wall or run directly up it. So once we collect what we need from there, we get the blue tablet. We're gonna go drain the water real quick, and that will open the last area of this level, if Ryu doesn't want to target these upgraded Shadow Fiends. And here we have another shop. We're gonna upgrade our Lunar this time to level 3, which is gonna be extremely useful for the next boss. Oh, actually, I have a lot. I have extra money. I'm gonna. Oh, and I'm full on a lot of things. All right. Well, we're looking really good on money and items right now. So that's gonna make the last part of this run very nice. I actually didn't even need the essence from the worm that I got, but hey, I'll take it. The dream is that I can buy another Talisman of Rebirth if I have to. And that'll make things a lot safer. This part, there's like this little fight. It's actually a trial fight, which trial fights are something that we don't really deal with in the speedrun because they're not required in normal. But they're how we get a lot of the extra items, like an additional Spirit of the Devils or additional Life of the Thousand Gods. The game kind of expects you to do those trials as well, which is why we need to pick up any of the upgrades that we do have along the way. Like, it would technically be more efficient for the run to skip getting health upgrades, but at the later parts of the game, like this next boss can one-shot me if I'm not at full health with my little upgraded health, and so we don't want to we don't want to get one-shot by just about anything in the game. And enemies, well, if you're like at base health, there's a lot of potential for enemies to also one-shot you. So this is a really cool skip too. Normally you're supposed to go around and jump along the little branch over there, but that's too slow. So I want to just jump over there and use a little bit of movement. I'm going to save because this boss can be very scary, and we're going to have like a kind of a bigger menu. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use one of those. I'm going to try to do the glitch. I didn't get it again, which is fine. But you can actually dupe the Spirit of the Devils, which gives me additional Nimpo slots. And it's very useful for the last little bit of the run because we're going to use a lot of Nimpo. But it's not necessary at all. In fact, I have plenty of Nimpo items that I probably don't even need to worry about it. So this is Pazuzu. He's a big bird dinosaur skeleton thing. We want to hit his head here as much as possible. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to try to do a little bit of damage on his legs to get him to stun. And then we're just going to hit his head a bunch and then throw incendiary shurikens at him. And yeah, so he took my talisman, which is very unfortunate. Yeah. Because he does a lot of damage, but that's okay. So that's Pazuzu down, and now we go. This is the next chapter is the kind of the relaxing portion of the game. For some reason, everyone in these early 2000s, late 90s action games decided that every level or every game needed a water level. So we're gonna swim around with Ryu for a bit, and the sad thing is Ryu takes forever to swim. We do have a really cool part of this, which is going to be kind of make things a bit stressful towards the end of it, but we'll get there when we get there. So the first part is we're just going to swim around. So if anything really comes in, there's not really much to say about this chapter other than, you know, the music's great. So if you got Cat Jam, you should definitely spam Cat Jam.
Oh yeah, spam your Cat Jams chat.
And yeah, we're just gonna move on through. I will need to like kind of focus on some parts too, so I might like quiet up as well. But it won't be till a little bit when my my O2 bar starts to go down. So normally we pick up this Owl's Eye so we can see in the dark, and then we can open this. I already know the combination because I'm a cheater. And then we use the after we open this, we'd get access to what's called the oxygen tank, which will give Ryu infinite O2, which is kind of funny because you'd think it'd be confined to how much is in the tank, but I guess the tank is just perpetual.
Good.
Yeah, but we're not gonna pick it up at all. Instead, we're gonna actually risk it for the biscuit, and we're gonna swim with no oxygen at some point, and not quite here. We're gonna come up here for air and try to avoid these bats if we can. And they clipped me a little bit, which is fine. But we will try to swim through the next area without refilling our oxygen, and you'll just see kind of like how much damage Ryu will take from it, and then we'll do it on a much bigger scale towards the end of the chapter.
Ryu really do got a pair of lungs then, though.
Yes, he does. He can hold his breath for quite a while, in fact, and it's pretty impressive. It's all the ninja training that he does.
He's too hardcore, we can't stop him.
Yeah, he does a lot of cardio, and yeah, he also punishes himself a lot, which is he's a glutton for punishment.
Oh yeah.
Which you'll see that a lot in the next chapter as well.
And his legs, oof.
Oh yeah, those legs, and he's got thighs for days.
You don't skip leg day.
Not for those hops, no.
Preach it.
So you can see how much damage I'm taking right now because my O2 is empty. So I'm gonna actually come in here and I'm just gonna heal up a little bit. Try to get back up to the surface to get some air. It's very scary. Right now I don't have a talisman, so if I get bit by one of those sharks, I would die, and I would have to fight Pazuzu again. And if I didn't heal before going up to the area, even if I survived that, if I had like a sliver of health and I come out of this water, these bats can kill me like automatically. I've actually had that happen before by being really greedy. So we try to avoid doing that now, and I just heal with the potion. And then we use Inazuma, which is an impo that we got in the last chapter to kill these mosquito fiends, and hope that we get a lot of blue drops so that we can kind of get close to full health. Which, sweet, we did. So I'm actually going to save before this part 2, because there's a very good chance I could die. Even if I had a talisman, if Ryu dies due to suffocation, it's on an automatic death. It's considered a hazard death, just like falling off the blimp. So Ryu would just die, and I would go back to my previous save. So I won't want to save before I start doing the what we call the deep dive. So I want to try to avoid these lasers. There's not really much I can do to avoid them. I just kind of have to swim in a straight line and hope they don't hit me. And swim underneath the sharks as best I can. So yeah, lasers getting close, but dodged. So we the out of bounds we found for this game is actually in this chapter, and it skipped a little bit of the swimming segment, which is why like I personally was very excited about it, because swimming in this game is just mashing A and kind of watching the screen. But it's unfortunate that it soft locks the game. Otherwise I would be using it right now. But so we're just gonna swim through these tunnels, and then once my O2 bar hits 0, I'll have to kind of like focus on where Ryu is at and where my health bar is at.
For sure.
Yeah, you want to try to avoid like hitting anything as you go, because that'll delay Ryu the segment. We have just enough healing potions to kind of get through the segment, and then a little bit extra. You want to try to cut the healing to as close as low as you can get to make sure that you can maximize the number of potions you have.
So essentially, you know, if you're drowning underwater, just drink a potion.
Yep, pretty much. Lots of fluids to keep yourself from drowning.
It's the right kinds of fluids, you know?
Mm-hmm. It's the good fluids, you know. And we are through. So I'm going to re-equip Fire Wheels because I'm going to use that for the next boss fight. And I'm going to save before the next boss fight again. Or before the next boss as well, so that I don't have to do the swimming section again. Now the next fight is Doku, in fact, and the Black Clad Samurai. This is one of my favorite fights in the game. He's very cool, casually, and the speedrun is also pretty fun. We actually just do a single technique, which is this forward YY, and he's giving me a really scary pattern. Alright, so hopefully I can just chain it together. Yeah, him doing those slashes is really annoying because it moves him far away from me, so I can't like immediately go back into it. And then yeah, him backing up and blocking as well is pretty bad. So we don't want him to block, but we were able to take him down still pretty quick. We used to do a much riskier strat with Gleaming Blade, but he was a spot where he could take your talisman or kill you very easily doing that. So the new strat is faster and safer, so I'm a big fan. So next we have chapter 12, and this is one of the most, probably the most execution heavy chapters for both movement and combat. So getting up here is actually a sequence break. Normally you're supposed to do like a little puzzle with these levers to get up here so that you can get to this lever, which activates the stairs. But by doing some more clever platforming in an unintended way, we can get up there without having to do any of the puzzle at all and complete it right away, which saves a lot of time because the puzzle requires you move back and forth a lot. I think it saves over almost 2 minutes. So the other thing about this chapter is there's a lot of these healing potions that I use to do the deep dive. So I'm going to refill on my healing as well. And I'm going to need it because in this chapter, there's some very scary hazards that we're going to have to deal with. And it's Ryu. You're going to see why Ryu's a glutton for punishment. And we're going to be swapping a lot back and forth between the Dragon Sword and the Lunar as we go. And there will be a little bit of focus because I kind of have to like pay attention to how Ryu's moving and where the enemies will spawn.
Yeah, no problem.
So this part, the ice caverns isn't the scary part. The next part is. So a lot of the puzzles and the areas are kind of like diametric, where they have like 2 parts to them. I think diametric's the right word, whatever. So there's the ice cavern and then there's the magma cavern. This is the scary one because Ryu, for some reason, just loves to jump into the lava. He loves to take all the damage from the lava, and yeah, he's definitely a masochist.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell by how he dresses too.
Oh yeah, if that wasn't obvious enough.
For some reason, he doesn't like to get enough height. Why is he targeting? So yeah, he's like targeting behind him sometimes, and it causes problems. But that's how that's supposed to go. So you're actually, that's also an unintended way to move through there. You're supposed to like kind of wall sidle through there, but wall sidling is very slow. So we just kind of jump across. And we're picking up these this iron ore because we need to make another medallion. We use 1 medallion to get in here, and we need a second one to get to the next door. This is also unintended. Why are you targeting random things? You silly goose.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
There we go.
I love how his legs are so strong that he's not affected by the lava. He just walks through it like a Chad.
Yeah, he just takes it, and it's all the muscles he's built up from jumping, and he just, I don't know, he loves it for some reason. He just loves to get into it, mess around. It's kind of like a treat for him, you know. Slowly killing him, but he's whatever about it. But yeah, so one of the risky parts about using shurikens for movement is Ryu will just target things. So here we're actually going to jump into the lava intentionally and wall run up there, which is also really sick movement that's not intended. It just looks really, really cool, as well as being fast. So everything about this game, you know, it just looks cool. That's why the speedrun is so good too. And so we come up here to get the other part of the medallion. So earlier this area was actually blocked off with ice, but because we smelted some iron and put it through, it melted the ice and we get through it. Now we need to go down here and we're gonna have a little mini boss fight. This is Jotunfrau. She's like an abominable snow woman thing. And hopefully she just AFKs. Alright, so she didn't AFK for very long. So she can kind of just like stand there and not do anything. I've actually like had her, I killed her without her doing anything the entire time. That's like the best you can get. Anytime she ice slams though, she gets invulnerable and you can't hit her. But yeah, she goes down pretty quickly though. Lunar level 3 is a strong weapon as well as the dragon sword. So like it deals a lot of damage to her. So the main parts of that fight is just to use the forward YY to kind of jump into the air and avoid her attacks, and then get through those grabs pretty safely. So then we want to re-equip the dragon sword because we're going to use it for movement and the next mini boss, which is coming up. Of course, Ryu, instead of jumping straight, he has to jump at an angle into the lava. And okay, at least he didn't jump all the way forward that time. So here, this is another intentional lava jump because we just want to get to here as quickly as possible. And we put the cog into the door. I'm going to pick up this extra healing potion right here. And I'm actually going to save here as well. This next mini boss can deal a lot of damage. And I will probably heal before it as well to keep with the safety theme going. We have one more Great Spirit Elixir, or Great Devil Elixir, which is going to make us full on those for now. And then everyone's favorite, the worm has returned, but this one is a fire worm. So we call it the spicy noodle or spicy worm. There's an yes, it's very spicy.
Spicy, oh boy.
But the strategy for beating him is pretty much the same. Use Essence Technique or Charged Ultimate Technique and Gleaming Blade. And I actually got to finish him with a Flying Swallow there, which puts me on that platform at the end. And then here, we just want to move through there as quickly as possible because it's on a timer. And yeah, so if you miss that, then you gotta go back and hit the button again. So now we actually summon this platform, but we're not going to use it intended either. We're just going to jump up here. Luckily, Ryu didn't go into the lava in that spot. That's a spot that he really just loves to not get to the top there and just kind of run around on the sides of it. And the music through this level, so good. So here I'm going to heal up and I'm going to equip the Lunar. We're going to pick up the statue and then the boss fight's going to begin right after. So this is the third statue. There are 4 statues. And we need all 4. And then this is the boss. This is Smaugin. Big dragon dude.
I wonder
so I'm
where
going to try
name was inspired from.
Yeah, totally original. But yeah, Smaugin kind of sits in the lava. We're gonna join him, and then we're gonna cast Fire Wheels. Because Fire Wheels does a lot of damage to a fire-breathing dragon for some reason.
2 bros chilling in a hot tub.
Yep. But you know, they're just chilling. Nothing going on here.
Just guys being dudes.
Yep. One rubbing the other one's belly with a stick, you know, nothing weird.
Totally normal.
Yep. All right, and so that's chapter 12. Oh, and 8:43 in game time is actually pretty good for the chapter. So now we have chapter 13, Fiendish Awakening. We're going to revisit a lot of places that we've been to before in this chapter and just kind of move through them. I will also probably be doing a safety strat in this chapter as well, since I lost my talisman. It's going to cost me like 40 to 50 seconds, but it will make the boss fight in this chapter much safer. Because fighting the boss here without a talisman is probably the scariest thing you can do, and it's a marathon. We're going to be safe. So yeah, we're back in the aqueducts, which is where we were just a couple chapters ago. Here we see the Dark Disciple and Gamov. That's the last time we'll see Gamov. He asks where Ryu is, and yeah, that's all he has to contribute to this part of the game. Everyone wants to know where Ryu is, but right now he's being an expert ninja, shouting loudly and killing things. So yeah, if there's anything that comes through or any other announcements, like it's gonna be, like I said, revisiting a lot of old areas.
Yeah, for sure. So just to let everyone know, this is the last run of the evening, and we will be back tomorrow. I need to do some time conversion because I am from England, and timing everything's hard. Oh goodness me. So starting at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I do believe that's what it's short for, we will be back with a Hat in Time any % race, which will be super fun. We still got 2 days left of Velocity, and we still have 2 days to try and hit a lovely 2k donation goal, which would be absolutely amazing. Still a bit of a quiet period, not got long left, but it's been super awesome having everyone come in chat and join us and donate. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you all here and donate to a wonderful cause.
Yeah, for sure. So these purple zombies, they have a ton of health. Like Inazuma does a lot of damage, and they take 5 shots in order to kill. But they drop a ton of money as well, even without killing them with an ultimate technique. So we want to pick up their money if we do kill them, and then when we kill all 3 of them, we get a free Talisman of Rebirth, which is nice because normally Talismans of Rebirth are 15,000 essence on normal, so they're quite spendy. But with all 3 of those zombies killed as well, I get about 7,500 essence as well, or I think it's like 750, which is halfway to another talisman. So if the next boss does end up using my talisman, then I should have enough money to buy another one, hopefully. Normally we just move past the zombies. And so we got the 3rd tablet piece and we put it into the statue, and it opens a teleport circle, which leads us back to the Hayabusa village. So yeah, we get to see every area of the game except the skyship more than once. Which it'd be kind of weird if there was a teleportation circle on the skyship, especially since the lore is that it goes through the bowels of the earth. So I wouldn't really see how that would work anyway. But yeah, you can visit every area in the game using those teleportation circles and getting around. So we'll actually also return to somewhere that we were the very beginning of this chapter, kind of, or at the end of the last chapter. By coming through this circle, we end up back in the caverns. And so I'm actually going to save real quick as well before this boss. Even with the talisman, like I feel pretty safe with the talisman, but this boss is the hardest boss in the game by far on every difficulty. Well, the final boss I find to be more difficult on normal, but this boss is still extremely hard. And it's Awakened Alma, which is an upgraded version of Alma. And she's very similar traits. She attacks very fast. She hyper armors your attacks. She has a very fast grab like that, which does a lot of damage. You see, it took over half my health. And yeah, so she's a scary. Okay, I rolled into that. That's fine. She's a very scary boss. So what we want to try to do is knock her down. There's no Inferno strats with her. Like we can't. There's not really a way to like guarantee that we'll knock her down, or better guarantee we'll knock her down. It's just kind of pray that she lets us. But yeah, she's a clingy ex-girlfriend. She won't let go, and she's got more legs to grab onto us now. So very scary. So yeah, I just kind of want to. Oh, and that missed. Okay. Yeah, she does a lot of damage. And I'm out of here. Okay, she's gonna take my talisman, which is fine. Yeah, she's being her ornery self. This should kill. Oh, she dodged the last bit of it. That's annoying. So I should just be able to hit her. There we go. All right. Well, we took her down. And we're going to open this up with the lunar. We have a little bit more before the end of the chapter. There's going to be a fiend kind of trial fight going on where we have to kill 30 pill bugs. I know that doesn't sound very scary, but wait till you see them. So we place these tablets in, and how we want to do it is just spam Inazuma pretty much. I'm gonna try to also do some ultimate techniques because I can get some money from these guys. But what I really want is these red nimpos because I want to be able to cast as many nimpos as possible. Yeah, that's the first set down. There will be another set once we put in the last tablet, or the second to last tablet as well. So the tablets is kind of just like a puzzle, but it's not a very difficult puzzle. It's literally just move each tablet left, and then you've solved it. And it opens these doors. So I'm gonna go ahead and use another pot right here. Nice. Getting all 5 of them is pretty cool. They don't always move around in a way for me to be able to do that. So I'm jumping and using shurikens to kind of push them as well and keep them on the ground because they can attack me out of the air. So that went pretty well, actually. So I got a ton of money from them by using the ultimate techniques. I should have enough to get another talisman in the next chapter. We shall see. Oh. What is going on? My game just froze. That's never happened before.
Oh no.
Let me restart my. I have a save file.
Alright,
So
good.
it should be fine. I might have to just fight Alma again.
No worries.
Yeah, that's literally never happened to me before. Yeah,
Where have I
exactly.
heard
Put
that
it on the
phrase
bingo.
before?
Maybe I was just going too fast and the game was like, yeah, you need to slow down, bud.
You're doing well in your game? No, sir, we can't have that.
Yeah, well, I had a 135. I mean, I'm on pace. I was on pace for a sub 2 hour run anyway. So we got plenty of time to make up. There's 16 chapters. We're on chapter 13. So I should still be well under estimate anyway.
Awesome.
So hopefully we can get a better Alma pattern and you can see a really cool fight. Because if the fight goes well, like, it looks really cool. Oh, is it not? Hold on. They're saying... why is it not displaying to my capture card? Hold on 1 second. I might have to restart OBS. If that's the case.
We can cut to an intermission if that's the case.
Yeah, yeah, I'll have to restart OBS because it's not detecting my capture card. Give me just a second. You guys can't see anything anyway, so.
Alright, so we'll go into intermission for a little bit. Sorry, folks, for the little technical issues.
All right, it's back up. The stream will be back up, like right now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a quick restart. I've never had it happen to me in the middle of a run or anything like that, but I've had it disconnect from the capture card a couple times. So it's just a restart and then yeah, pretty fixed. So the only thing that everyone missed was the opener to Alma, which he got knocked down. So you guys will see me come back in and Alma will be on the ground.
That's fine. Totally to be expected during a marathon. No worries.
Right.
Not the
when
first
all the good
one,
stuff happens.
Definitely.
Sorry,
not
give
the
me a
last
moment.
time.
Just give me one moment and we'll get this showing, because...
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Just let me know when I'm good to go.
Alright, sorry for the slight technical delay. Of course, in classic showing. You can go whenever. We're good to go.
Right. Oh, actually I messed up because I forgot I needed a flying swallow. That's okay though. I got distracted.
It's alright, we just get more waifu content for a bit.
Exactly. Get to see a little bit more of Ryu's potential girlfriends. You're supposed to roll to her, my dude. Alright. So, yeah, basically just doing the same thing, trying to flying swallow her, and then when she does get knocked on the ground, I want a Gleaming Blade, and follow up with another Gleam as well afterwards to try to knock her down again. Sometimes you can knock her out of the Fireball, but it's really risky, because if you don't, then she can hit you with it. And so that's kind of what you want to do right there is knock her down again with a second gleam. And yeah, so this fight actually went better. Whew. Some nice content. She do be looking pretty good with those legs though. Hopefully I can get a good pattern with the pill bugs as well, which is not as necessary this time because I actually kept my talisman in that fight, so it all worked out in the end.
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
I totally intended, crash the game. Whatever, no big deal.
Isn't that just like our AI or RNG manipulation, you know? Just crash the game intentionally.
Yep, that's the Dragon Quest strat, you get a hot plate. Oh. Alright. And we got some money there, which is pretty good. But because I didn't use my talisman though, I didn't have as much Nimpo. So I didn't want to try to force it with the Nimpo. But the next one I'll still use the potion. And he took one to the corner, which is really cool. What you want. Ooh. When they grab you is really scary because the other ones can chain jump on you and do a lot of damage. You want to try to avoid that if you can. But yeah, still got a lot of money out of it. We're still pretty good on time as well, to be honest. So not too worried. And so this part is just going to be like a really long, drawn-out cutscene that's unskippable, where the pyramid raises. So like I said, we're trying to get to the palace of the Holy Vigor Emperor. And this is pretty much the only route that we have to go. And we're going to be getting there in a little bit. We have one more chapter to get through, which is a relatively short chapter. And we'll see another reoccurring character as well. First, we need to pick up the 4th statue. So like I said, we can't skip any of these statues. If you skip a statue, you have to go back and get it at the end of the game. And the final area is pretty far from the rest of the game itself. So having to backtrack is not a pleasant experience. I've had to do that when I was first starting to run the game. Totally forgot one of the statues, had to go back and grab it. Everyone's forgotten a statue every now and then. It just kind of happens. And if you're going for a good time and you forget a statue, if you forget the very first statue beginning, then you just kind of become really sad that you lost your run. So here we actually meet a character. We're not going to see him at all because we skipped the cutscene. His name is Marvis. He'll be a boss later on, but he's essentially the quote-unquote king of the underworld, even though he works for the Vigor Emperor. I want to get a red drop. If I don't... Oh, I got one. Sick. So reds are really good because I got my Nimpo back. Just takes 4 and you get rid of all of those guys. So the last part of this run is for a lot of these fights is just going to be spamming Nimpo and then fighting the bosses. So let's see. Oh, we got a ton of money. So I actually can afford a second talisman and get like a ton of other stuff because I'm full on pretty much everything else. So yeah, that's exactly what you want, is to have a ton of money. So now we have 2 talismans. I'm feeling pretty safe because we're about to be introduced to another enemy. It's very scary. These are ghost fish. They will ruin your day and can kill your run very quickly. They latch onto you and bite you and do a ton of damage. And if one grabs onto you, then more will grab onto you as well. And how we deal with them is we just try to roll or on-landing jump through them using the on-landing jump iframes. So if you mess up your on-landing jump, which is nearly frame perfect because you have to do it right as he lands, then the fish will just bite you, and they can actually, if there's enough of them and they swarm you, they can actually chain grab you and you can't break out of it. And they just take your talisman or kill you right away. And there's absolutely nothing you can do.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's very fun. What's funny to me is when this level was first designed, the developer who made the ghost fish meant them to be like a background piece. They weren't ever supposed to be an enemy. They were just supposed to kind of float around and look cool. The director of the game, Itagaki, he saw that and was like, we're going to put an enemy or like these decorations in an action game in a level which has very few enemies to begin with. Make them do something. And they made them do the worst things ever. These are the worst enemies. Everyone hates them. They are absolutely annoying. And I will never forgive Itagaki for that. Even though he did bring us the best game ever, so.
So this is still the best game ever, even with annoying ghost fish.
Oh yes, by far. That just shows you how good the game is.
Hot take.
Alright, that was some interesting walklings, but we got through there. And no, not too bad on the fish harassment either. So here I'm gonna wall run and then do on-landing jumps after the wall run. Just because trying to go around those corners is very annoying. And then I'm gonna come up here. I'm gonna grab another potion. This is not necessary. This is safety. And then I'm gonna save. Even with 2 talismans, this next boss can ruin your day just as badly as Alma. He doesn't have as much health as Alma does, and he actually takes hits, unlike Alma, but he does a ton of damage. It's a big trade-off, and you'll actually recognize him. Is another repeat boss. This is Doku. We've seen him like flying around. This is him in his spirit form. So I hate when he does the combo. It's very annoying. So I'm kind of want to just run away from him. Wait till he like does this little charge and then jump towards him and yeah, see, this combo is very annoying because I can't hit him during it, and I try to jump in a little too early. Okay, that wasn't too bad though. He gave me a decent pattern where he just tried to keep close. And yeah, that's like I said, a relatively short chapter. Now we come to the core. This is another really long chapter, and this is where all of our Nimpo is going to come into play. We're gonna pretty much just try to spam it as much as we can. Right now we have a level 2 Inazuma. We picked up a jewel of the demon seal. like very early on in the run, and we use it to upgrade to level 2. I picked up another one when we went to the Hayabusa Village revisit, and I'm going to use it to go to level 3, and that's going to one-shot almost every single enemy that we'll encounter, except for one, which are those big black crabs, which are also a really bad enemy. They have some very annoying moves that they can do. Hopefully we don't see any of them, and I won't have to tell you about them because I don't want to talk about it. So we will have to deal with a lot of stuff in this chapter, and it's going to be hopefully very entertaining and not full of sadness.
No sad allowed, folks.
Yeah, no sads. Can you get smiles in the chat, please? Thank you.
Happy emotes. Happy emotes only.
Something I will mention is after we killed Spirit Doku, Ryu got this kind of blue tint to his skin and with like these little lightning veins. That's because Doku gave him a curse. Apparently, Ryu also has fiend blood in him, and so Doku's starting to turn him into a fiend. So some of these guys can... Oh my gosh, can you not? Some of these guys can live with 1 health after... Why is he running away from me? What the heck is he doing over there? Alright, come here. So these enemies can move in really weird patterns. It's not a big deal because I didn't have to use an extra Nimpo, or an extra Nimpo to kill him or anything like that. But one of the things we really want to hope for is what we just saw there is a red drop. Those are very important because if we have to use all of our Nimpo potions, then we might not have any left over for the final bosses. And then on each of these levels of this area, we have ghost fish on the stairs, and we try to on landing jump past them as best we can. There is a safer way to do it, but it's cooler to do the on landing strat, so I'm going to do that. Sweet, got another red. We want as many reds as possible. And if we don't get them, then yeah, we just have potions. Looks like no more. All right. So I'm constantly, like, as I'm moving around, moving my camera to see what's died and whether or not it's dropped a red. And all right, so only a couple red drops so far. Not the biggest deal in the world. We have plenty of potions so far. And one of the reasons for getting level 3 Inazuma, you can actually do all of this with level 2 Inazuma. You'll have to cast more Nimpo. So yeah, one of the reasons we get level 3 is so that we don't have to rely so much on the drops. So the strat for this room is pretty cool. You just kind of jump to the side and then walk back and cast your Nimpo, and usually it's pretty consistent with killing these guys. A lot of times the fiends, especially the black crab fiends, they can go behind the pillar. Inazuma does have a range, and behind the pillar is just outside of it, or the pillar can actually block it even. They're notorious for doing that in this room, so I really want to hope that they don't kind of scuttle like that. He's trying to do, get behind the pillar. I want him to stay. No, you jerk.
What a meanie.
Yeah, they're very annoying. I want to look out for... There's an attack that they can do where they kind of like the Shadow Fiends, they go underground in shadow. That attack is the scariest one of all, not because it does any damage or kills you or anything, but because it actually pulls you under the floor and takes you to the level below, which means you have to go up the stairs again and brave the ghost fish. So I want to keep an eye out for that attack the entire time I'm fighting those guys. So here I have 2 talismans, so I'm not too worried about dying in this part. This part is pretty easy. For the most part, it's more spam Nimpo. See, that's Marbus sitting up there, looking at us all like, ha, entertain me. And so we're going to try to entertain him by just shooting a bunch of lightning bolts at his minions. And we also want to get as many Nimpo here as we can. Hopefully drop some. We're not too really worried about any other types of essence because there's no more shops in the run. We've already had our last one, so we just kind of want to hope for red essence. So we have Hydrocubus again. He's back. Everyone's favorite. This one has a lot more health than any of the other ones. So even with the True Dragon Sword, which is the final upgrade version, it really only does that much damage with Gleaming Blades. So this one has a ton of health. So something I didn't mention though, when before we went to go fight Alma, one of the weapons we did get was the True Dragon Sword, which is when Ryu put this medallion in the hilt of the Dragon Sword, it got this glow. It becomes one of the most powerful weapons in the game. It out damages pretty much everything else except for like 2 weapons, which is actually the Dark Dragon Blade, which is unavailable to you on normal, and the Unlabored Flawlessness, which takes a long time to get. There is one weapon that is comparable to it, which is a laser sword, but that also takes a long time to get. So here we have more. This time Marbus is going to try to shoot fireballs at us as we blast his little minions. We Nimpo through it. So there should be one more. What I wanted was a red drop so that I could have 3. That's okay. I still have a small potion. What I want to have is, after this fight, which is a Jotunfrau revisit as well, I want to have 3 Nimpo. So, but I can't get any in this fight, but that's okay. I still have a small potion, so I still have 3 Nimpo, even if I don't have them currently. I can always use the potion. But I'm going to wait till after we start the Marbus fight to use the potion, because Marbus can actually spawn more Shadow Fiends. And if I kill a Shadow Fiend and it drops a red, then I want to be able to use it instead of the potion. So yeah, this Jotunfrau was pretty nice. This one can spam Ice Slams a lot more than the other one. It's got more health than the very first one. Hopefully, though, what we want Marbus to do is throw fireballs at us and then dive at us. So there's fireballs, dive. He's doing the dive, perfect. So when he does this dive, I'm going to cast in Azuma, and then I'm going to do a very particular combo, which is XXXY. That's not it. Okay, so you can mess it up once, usually, and be okay, but yeah. That happened. Normally it's an infinite combo. Yeah, if you mess it up, then that happens, which is totally fine though. He's given me the pattern again, which is pretty good. It's totally random whether or not he does that, so Marbus is another spot which can just kind of kill your run. He can just infinitely fly around, and fighting him normally takes forever. So getting the instant combo and then getting it again, totally fine. It does mean I have to use my great double elixir, but also okay. I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. I'm gonna do a menu where I'm gonna swap my Nimpo and arrows for the second to last boss fight. So yeah, this whole chapter is pretty much just a huge gauntlet, going through the most difficult enemies and difficult bosses to get to the very end. I am going to save here. I probably won't die to this boss, but you never know, so I just want to be safe. So here, just doing on-landing jumps at an angle to go up the stairs as quickly as possible, because whenever you're going up an incline, on-landing is faster than wall jumping as well. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier. So this is the Holy Vicar Emperor. Looks kind of funky. Got all these orbs around him, and we kind of break him. When there's 3 parts, the chest and the arms. When they do the lasers, the chest gets like this invisible wall, and it becomes really hard to hit. Oh, I just took a ton of damage. But we can break them to cancel it, and then hopefully get to the chest. Oh, broke the chest, and just kind of spam gleaming blade to break all the pieces. And then this is the skull phase. This part we just shoot him with arrows, and then at some point he's gonna start throwing skulls at us. Once he does that, we're gonna use fire wheels, and then after a few seconds of the fire wheels, when they run out, we're gonna do it immediately again and start to charge a gleaming blade. And then he's gonna launch his head at us, and we're going to fully charge the gleaming blade, hit him, and do a ton of damage to his head. I'm actually going to heal here, swap to my next set of arrows, and hopefully he jumps at me so I can do something cool. He didn't jump at me, which is fine. I wanted to do something really cool, but it's not really fast. It's just, I like it. But basically, if he's on top of you, you can use Inazuma to break all the skulls, and it makes this really, really loud sound. So it's kind of a headphone warning. But yeah, so that's the Vigor Emperor. It's not the last part of the game. We do have one more chapter. It's chapter 16 with the Dark Dragon Blade. So the Vigor Emperor actually had the Dark Dragon Blade, and after we beat him, we drops it. I'm going to save here because the platforming in this spot is very scary. If I fall in the lava, I pretty much, well, I'll lose a minute for sure. But there's a very good chance that you can just die from doing that as well, because there's a time limit on this area. So we pick up the Dark Dragon Blade. We now have it back in our possession. We're gonna do some platforming and okay, well, I fell. That's cool. We're just gonna try to beat the timer then. That can happen sometimes. There's never a spot in this speedrun where you feel safe, to be honest. Like, the most experienced runners have fallen here and just killed their runs. Go for this again. So that's how that's supposed to look, which is pretty cool. Oh. And any second now, there should be a cutscene where the rocks start falling. There we go. Yeah, that's the indicator that the timer's almost up. Normally, if you fall, the timer gets extended by a little bit. Normally, it would play much sooner than that. So I'm going to heal now before we get into the last part. We got plenty of time, so I'm going to let this cutscene play because it's kind of funny. There's this whole sequence. So Rachel's here. She's going to help Ryu up to the top. She's been super, super helpful to us. We're going to meet some really cool characters that you don't get to see for like the rest of the game. So there's the Dark Disciple and Gamov. So we actually get to finally meet them for real.
Ryu. I expected nothing less. However, The power of the Dark Dragon is wasted on you.
He do be looking kind of fresh though.
Yes, he's got a very sick outfit. He kind of reminds me of like a semi-truck, you know, with the big grill in the front.
Oh man.
Waiting for this very moment.
And he's got the Dark Dragon blade.
You've done well.
And then, yeah, I don't understand why he does that. There's not really any backstory to it. But, you know, 90s movie action, you know, it is what it is. And then he reveals that it's Mirai, your mentor, at the very beginning.
No.
Mirai.
Yep.
The Dark Dragon is mine.
One of the greatest line. No objections, I presume. Yeah, very sick. And Q, probably one of the hardest fights in the game. Mirai is still very fast. He has a lot of attacks, and he blocks you. He grabs you out of blocks. He does a lot of damage. He's kind of a scary boss. So time will be as soon as Mirai's health hits 0. I will kind of have to be focusing on the fight, so I might not be able to say time. So, but I'll try to best I can. But I won't be able to count down to it or anything like that. Yeah, he is going all out against me right now. So he can be like very passive or aggressive, and he's being extremely aggressive. But I have 2 talismans, so I should be safe. Yep, here we go. There's the second talisman, totally fine. Okay, time.
GG.
Yeah. This last cutscene is also really cool. So I wanna let this one play out too, real quick. But yeah, it's Ryu completing his quest, getting his revenge, which he found out was complete manipulation from Mirai to power up the Dark Dragon Blade, and then he destroys it because he's a ninja, and that's what ninjas do.
Destroy things.
Exactly. And there we can finally see Rachel and Ayane in their full forms, not just little glimpses. The amazing sunset, Rachel looking longingly at Ryu, and Ryu being like, oh, I said it a little too soon. Yeah, it's over.
It's over.
And then he turns into a bird and flies away. Because he's not about, you know, he's got more training to do. He's a ninja first. He's got no time for any girlfriend. He's got to be aloof, keep him interested. But yeah,
Women
that's
are
about
temporary. Ninjas are for life.
it. Exactly. So then we go to the credits. So there's another cutscene where he returns the medallion, and then the last part is the important part, which is where we check the in-game time. 1:47:02. Okay, run. But yeah, so that's Ninja Gaiden Black. If anyone's interested in the run, we have a Discord. You definitely check it out. The game is extremely good. If you've never played it, it is the best game ever. You will fall in love with it. I assure you that. But yeah, thanks for having me here. I really appreciate being able to showcase the run. But yeah.
Amazing. Do you have any more shout outs to give?
There's a lot of shout outs that I could give for people in the community. Major Richie is one of the people in the chat. He's a really good speedrunner. He's working his way to becoming 3rd on the leaderboard. Awesome dude as well. Very good at the game. Digital T has a tutorial for this game on YouTube. So if you are interested in running it as well, definitely check out his tutorial. He goes into a lot of good strategies and in depth on how to play the game as well. There's a JTB123 is also another guy on YouTube, a big personality in Ninja Gaiden community for 3D Ninja Gaiden. He has a ton of tutorials as well, and a ton of like boss strategies and a lot of really good resources. So those are definitely things if you're interested in the game to check out. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got.